Welcome to another episode of Peak Internet's Weekly Tech Tips. Today we are going to show you how to set up Mozilla Thunderbird. If you don't have Thunderbird, please download and install it using the link below. When you first open Thunderbird, you're going to be given just a blank screen, not much there. Obviously, we need to set it up. To do that, we click on Tools, then we click on Account Settings, and that's going to bring us to the Account Settings window. To add an account, we click on, conveniently, Add Account. And that'll bring up the Account Setup wizard. It's going to give us a couple different options for different types of accounts. We're going to select Email Account, if it is not already selected, and click Next. It'll then ask us for your name and your email address. Your name can be whatever you would like it to say when you send out an email. So we're going to go ahead and put in Weekly Tech Tips. And the email address is your email address that you set up with Peak Internet. We're going to use newyuser@peak.org as our demonstration. It's then going to ask us to select what type of mail server we have. We have available both POP and IMAP. Typically at Peak, we recommend that you use the POP mail server. Then it'll ask for the actual server address. For peak.org accounts, it is mail.peak.org. Then Thunderbird gives us the option to use Global Inbox. If we have this checked, that means that Thunderbird will store all email in the same inbox. This mostly affects you if you have multiple email addresses. If you want them all to come into the same inbox, leave this checked. If you want to have separate inboxes for each email address, then you uncheck it. In this case, we're going to go ahead and leave it checked. And that brings us down to the outgoing mail server. The outgoing mail server is the same as the incoming mail server, mail.peak.org. And then we click Next. Now it'll ask us for our incoming username. Should already be filled out with the first part of our email address, which was newyuser@peak.org. In the case of Peak, this is just fine. We just leave it as it is, and then click Next. Now it'll ask us for an account name. Doesn't really matter what this says. This is how Thunderbird tracks the account and how it will refer to it if it has a problem. Typically, I recommend just leaving it at the default, which should be the email address you entered before. We then click Next. It'll give us a quick summary of the information we have entered, including the account name, email address, incoming information, and outgoing information. We then click Finish, and it'll now have our settings. Now that we have our settings, we just click OK. That brings us back to Thunderbird. On the left, you'll see the local folders and the inbox. This is where the emails will be shown to you when they have been downloaded. To tell it to get mail, we click on Get Mail. The first time you connect to your mail server with Thunderbird, it'll ask you to enter your password. We'll go ahead and then if you don't want to type it in every time, you can check the box, use Password Manager to remember this password. Then click OK. It's going to warn us that there's a potential that storing the password on your computer could be a bad idea, but we're going to go ahead and click OK because we want to. It'll then download any email that's on the server. We hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Peak Internet's Weekly Tech Tips. If you have any questions, please call us at 1-800-731-4871.